Welcome back to another Vibes and Frequencies video. My name is Nathan. If you happen to be new to my channel, I've been documenting my entire spiritual awakening process for the last 2 years here on YouTube. And throughout a lot of this, I've ended up resonating a lot with metaphysical crystal energy. So what I wanted to do in this video is talk about the 5 spiritual awakening stages, as well as multiple crystals for each stage that we can work with to help us through these stages. Now, along with this, I'm going to be including lots of information about the stages, certain tips and tricks and things I picked up along the way that are probably some good things to keep in mind and remember when you're in these stages. And I want to let you guys know that a lot of what I'm putting in this video has to do with you. You know, in the last 2 years, I've ended up connecting with a whole bunch of different people. And what's cool is that we all seem to be going through the same things. So my personal experience is that the spiritual awakening journey and the stages is a highly personal event, meaning that it really is going to be different for each of us, like without a doubt. Without a doubt, it's going to be different. It's going to be unique to you. But again, from what all I've experienced in my own and what I've seen in others, and everybody here's been super genuine in sharing with me what they've been going through as well, that's what I'm putting in this video. So, without further ado, keep in mind also that if you're new, you might not know I do crystal giveaways in my videos, and this video has multiple throughout it. So go ahead and stay tuned for that. All right, let's hop in. The first stage that I've broken this up into, again, keep in mind that this is a general statement because it is a highly personal experience. The first stage is what I like to call holy good morning stage. This is the beginning, you know, this is the wake-up call. So for many of us, what ends up happening is we've been asleep our whole lives. We've been thinking that everything goes like this, right? This is the way that it is. I've been living in society. I've been just listening to what everybody else has been telling me. There's all these different facets of it. Again, this is highly personal, but what all of us share is that in a single moment, or what usually I can see is stretched along the span of about a week or so, we all of a sudden start seeing things a bit differently. We start waking up to the fact that there's more going on here than what we previously thought and had been experiencing. So what I've noticed, the first thing I want to mention about this stage before we hop into the crystals, is that oftentimes it is a traumatic event or some kind of challenging experience that triggers us to wake up, whatever that may be for you. Now, for a lot of us, though, just because of the time that it is on the planet, we are right now in the time of the Great Awakening. If you're not sure what that is, well, you can go ahead and look into it because I don't want to spend too much time in this video about it. But there's a lot of us that are waking up just naturally. So a lot of us aren't even requiring traumatic events or experiences to wake up anymore. And that's really, really awesome. For me, it was a very sporadic experience. For me, everything kind of just happened at once. I have a whole video talking about my craziest experiences and stories in my spiritual awakening. I'll tag that below in the description of this video for you guys, because in that video, the very first thing I dive into is talking about what triggered and started my spiritual awakening. So I don't want to spend time going into that here because this is already going to be a really long video with a lot of hefty information. So I would like to ask you, what triggered your spiritual awakening? Was it a traumatic event or was it sporadic? You are the power here. I've already shared mine. I'd love to hear from you and know from you guys. It helps a lot. So moving forwards, in this stage, what often we are experiencing, again, a highly personal experience, different for all of us, but what I can see kind of clear across the board is that what ends up happening is we wake up, and it's so big, it's so new. This whole door of perception just poof, blows open, and it's like, holy fuck, I'm here. I'm here. And because the door just blows open for the first time in our lives, what ends up happening is all of this energy starts pouring into us. So what I notice in this stage that's pretty clear across the board is that everything gets very exciting, very magical, right? All of a sudden, we feel that we are one with the universe. We start feeling one with God, source creation, right? We start seeing our reflection in everything. Synchronicities popping up all around us. We feel pure ecstasy, pure bliss. We feel all of these questions. We feel suddenly that we are so in tune with all that is and will ever be. And it is such a beautiful stage. Stage 1 is oftentimes everybody's favorite stage, and you'll never forget it. You know, I will never forget when I woke up. I mean, the energy and the magic that I felt, it was so new, so fresh, and therefore so big. Think about anybody who's ever, you know, for example, this is something I feel that most people on planet Earth have done at this point, depending on how old you are. Everybody at some point or another has probably smoked weed. Now, remember the very first time you smoked weed? Compare that to all the other times you did. The first time was freaking insane. Like, how is any of this real? How is this possible? I had no idea that there was even alternative perceptual states, right? But then as you do it again, all of a sudden it's not as big, it's not as dramatic. So this is what kind of happens throughout the spiritual awakening as it begins to tone down. So a few things more that I'd like to mention, and I did write some things down to help myself keep track because sometimes I tend to ramble. So yes, this is the first stage. You wake up, everything feels like bliss and so much magic. So here are the crystals that I recommend, that I feel a lot of experience with, that I truly believe are the most profound ones to work with in this stage of the awakening. The first one is Moldavite, which is a Tektite. Now, everybody who's been following my journey and my channel knows about Moldavite. You've seen a lot of videos I've made about it. I want to let you know that not every single stage I'm just going to say Moldavite, okay? This is specifically the first stage. Moldavite has this powerful, profound energy to it where it begins to dissolve these layers of us away that no longer serve us. It begins to start waking us up and tapping us into certain magical, psychic abilities, certain things, certain powers that we have that were likely dormant before. Now, the thing about stage 1 in the spiritual awakening is that these things just start happening anyways. We start tapping into all of this stuff, right? For me, I remember other people's thoughts were literally flowing into me. Now, what I thought at the time was that I was reading minds. I thought I was a psychic. Now, this is one way we could explain it, but where I'm at now, it's pretty clear that those thoughts aren't either of ours. We were both just tuned to the same frequency and therefore receiving the same streamline of thought vibration. So this is more so a matter of resonance. But the thing is that all these trippy things start happening and we start waking up to them. And Moldavite is the #1 crystal to start waking us up into the present power of who we really are. It's a present moment consciousness energy, and it's in the present moment where all of our transformation takes place. It's in the present moment where we feel our magic. It's in the present moment where our psychic abilities make themselves known. You see what I'm saying? Moldavite across the board is known as the Tektite of transformation and the most powerful manifester and you know, all these things. But the reason for this, in my personal opinion and experience with Moldavite, is because you can't manifest anything if you're constantly living in the future and past. You've got to manifest right here, right now. And it's the same with transformation. You can't transform tomorrow or yesterday. You got to transform right now. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now real quick, I want to show you guys. I'm in Sedona, Arizona, one of my favorite places, super profound energy. I'm just going to do a quick little thing here. I realize the sun's beating down, so you can't quite see the view to the extent that I'm getting it. I hiked out here at 3 a.m. I just been chilling, vibing out, waiting for the sunrise. Here we go. All right, moving on. The next crystal that I want to mention for stage 1 of the spiritual awakening that I believe is a really profound energy to work with is Amethyst. Now, Amethyst is super, super relaxing energy and also very third eye and crown chakra stimulation. So what happens for us before our spiritual awakening is most of us are very kind of just rooted into, we're here, everything is physical, there's nothing else to life, it just, you know, it's blah, you know, we just got to do what everybody else tells us, all this stuff, right? So when we first wake up, this is a stage of tons and tons of magic pouring into us, seeing all the infinite possibilities, feeling all of the incredibleness that we are. And the thing about this stage is that it's really great to work with complementary crystals that are doing this as well, which I'm going to dive into in one of the future stages. For now, don't worry about that comment I just made. I like Amethyst a lot for this stage because it's actually tapping us into certain dimensions that Moldavite is too. However, it's a lot more relaxing. It's a lot more calming and a soothing of an energy. And I find this to be really powerful because for me, speaking from my personal experience, I'd love to hear from you about this. When I first woke up, it was spasmodic. My energy was so electric, so powerful, I couldn't turn it off. I mean, this guy right here wasn't sleeping for like weeks at a time. Like, I was just so like, ah! I was so pumped, man. I was one with everything. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to do anything but be out in the nature and hugging trees and just, like, man, it was ecstasy. So the Amethyst is awesome because it complements this phase. It's helping us with this same process of tapping into the higher dimensions and the more possibilities and dimensions of who we are, and it helps with our expansion. However, it helps to soothe and relax that spasmodic energy, which, as you can see, could be very beneficial for the fact that you might have some difficulty sleeping or calming the heck down in stage 1. Now, I'd love to know from you guys, what do you think about this? What crystal do you think, being the stage 1 of just waking up for the first time, might be a powerful crystal for others to work with? What was one that really worked with you a lot very well? I'd love to hear from you. So, moving into the second stage. I'm interrupting this lovely video with an important message that I was so into the video, I was flowing so much, I forgot to do any of the giveaways I had planned. So I'm implementing these little clips in throughout the video to do the giveaways, so sorry for the weird format, guys. So this is the first giveaway, and it's for a piece of amethyst. Now this one's pretty awesome too because it's got a slotted hole right there that you could put a cord through and wear it as a necklace. So this is the first giveaway in this video. I do have some more coming up, but the 3 things to do to be considered as a potential winner for this giveaway at this point here is to, number 1, either thumbs up or thumbs down this video. Number 2 is to comment below and in your comment say stage 1 of the spiritual awakening, and then let me know how long that lasted for you. I'm absolutely certain that anybody who's here has entered into stage 1 at least. I'm like super confident in that. So let me know how long that lasted for you. That's really what I'm interested to know, is kind of across the board. And the third thing is to be a subscriber with the bell notification clicked. So just so you guys know who haven't been here before, it's a robot algorithm that chooses who wins this giveaway. So the algorithm is going to choose in about a few weeks from today. I'm going to give this video a little bit longer to propagate on YouTube for everyone. Yeah, you'll know you've won because the robot algorithm will choose you, and I'll let you know in the comment in a response to you. So thanks a lot. I'm going to continue the video, and you got a few more giveaways coming up, so stay tuned. The second stage is what I like to call the I understand it all / integration phase. So the whole thing about the I understand it all / integration phase is that there's this powerful thing that happens, you know. We've been awake, we've gone through this experience of all of this magic pouring into us, and it's absolutely incredible. It's so special, right? Now what happens in this is innately, I find, again, this is a highly personal experience, it might not be the same for you, but for a lot of us it is, we start to want to tell everybody about it. We want to bring everyone to where we are. We want everybody to be seeing things the way that we are because it's so powerful. We've had such a hard time in our lives. We've experienced so much depression and anxiety. We felt so trapped. So the fact that all of a sudden all this beauty exists, we feel so much compassion and love for each other, and we want to share that with each other. We want to help each other to see it. So I like to call this the I understand it all phase because it's pretty clear across the board that we all start believing and feeling that we are this kind of enlightened being that knows all of the answers and has everything that everybody else could possibly need. Now, I'm going to dive into this again a little bit more in future phases. So this is a pretty natural thing that we feel. We want to bring everyone to where we are. A lot of us end up starting to actually make YouTube videos, I've noticed, especially because of the technology that exists today. This is when I started making videos, right? This is when I see a lot of other people that resonate with me have started making their videos too. We all of a sudden have all the answers and we want to share it with each other. So this is one of the parts of this stages. We really want to bring others to where we are. The next thing that ends up happening here is that we all of a sudden feel this massive urge to consume all of this information, right? Because we've been asleep for so long. we felt like, man, I've been missing out, you know? I know I personally did. I felt like I'd been force-fed all of these things, and all of a sudden I saw that they were a load of bullshit, and I wanted to experience all this other information. And again, because of today's day and age and our technology, there's all this information on the internet, and once you wake up to the fact that there is more out there, you start searching for that more out there. Right? So this is why I call it the I know everything / integration phase. You feel so connected with all and you want to bring everyone to it. And also simultaneously, you start being really driven by your being, almost like this obsession. You don't want to do anything else but watch people's videos talking about, you know, spiritual awakening or how to open your third eye or starseed light worker. You know, you want to learn about crystals. You just want to feel all of this information because it's been withheld from you in this certain sense for so damn long. So this is often a phase where I find, again, that it's difficult for many people to sleep. And what we end up doing, I remember for myself, I got really into taking baths. I would sit in the bath and I would just watch spiritual YouTubers for hours throughout the day, right? Now, there's also something really beautiful that happens in this phase where we start releasing certain things that are not good for us, right? For me, personally, at this stage, what ended up happening was I all of a sudden started eating a much, much healthier diet. And it wasn't because anybody told me to or because I felt it was necessary, it was natural. You know, I started to stop eating as much cheeses and breads and things as I was. And honestly, I never really was into eating vegetables for my entire life, but all of a sudden I found myself going to the local farmer's market and buying a heck ton of vegetables. I ate in one day more vegetables than I probably ate in the span of 2 months. It's not a joke. And I just kept going, consuming so much kale, carrots, beets, you know, all of these things. I started juicing. I started naturally detoxing my body. I would wake up in the morning and I'd feel so much life. I'd ride my bike, I'd listen to music, I'd be laughing and crying with joy. So there's all these beautiful things that are taking place in this stage. Now, something that also ends up happening in this stage that I personally noticed for me, now this might be different for you depending on where you are in the world, but for me, I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and when I was going through my waking up process, there was not a single person that understood what I was going through or was also going through it at the same time. Literally nobody, okay? I knew absolutely nobody. Most of the people in my life that were close enough to me to see that I was going through some things thought that I was on some crazy drugs or that I was a crazy person. And the truth was that it was the most natural I had ever been. You know, I even stopped using the substances I was at this stage of my spiritual awakening. I just felt so naturally good and tuned in. And so a lot of us, I think, we end up feeling alone in this phase. I think that that's pretty natural at this stage, you know? But part of the gift of consuming all this information and the fact that we've got the internet is it becomes clear to us that we're not alone in all the earth. Just maybe where we are right currently in that moment on the planet. So one thing I just wanted to let you know and to share with you is that you aren't alone. And sometimes it's hard because it feels like, well, you know, now I'm so ostracized from everybody, nobody gets me and I don't get others anymore. And it feels like it's always going to be that way. But I want to let you know that through the phases that happen afterwards, we end up finding ourselves in the perfect place. Your soul family, like we like to call it, starts coming into your life, your star family, right? You start falling into your purpose a little bit more, and your life begins to manifest where that is literally your entire life. Everything and everyone around you is resonant of this lifestyle and reality. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. I know sometimes it feels like this is gonna last forever. I'm always gonna be alone. No one's ever gonna get me. No, it's not that way. So try to remember that things are always changing. Nothing stays the same forever. This is just what's happening right now, right? So now we're gonna dive into the crystals that I believe, from my experience that I've worked with, are gonna be the most complementary to this phase and what we're working on. So, you guys ready for this? Blue Kyanite. Blue Kyanite is the number one that I want to recommend for this stage of the spiritual awakening if you're in this part. Now, blue Kyanite is a super psychically activating energy. So when I was working with blue Kyanite, I was finding myself astral traveling, right? Having all these super vivid dreams. Psychic powers, again, just similar to like how we're talking about in stage 1 and with Moldavite, are still making themselves known. We're going through this kind of detox process, falling into all of this bliss. Now again, it's very spasmodic energy. And especially in this stage, this is when I find that we start pushing against our environment a lot. This is when we start feeling like where we are sucks. Man, this place is bullshit. This place is built out of plastic. This is fake, you know? All the people in my life, fake, you know? The job I've been doing, fake. We start feeling this and we start pushing against it all. And we end up feeling a lot of resistance, like, I need to break out of this cage, you know? I'm this huge, massive, powerful being, but I'm trapped, I can't get out. So I find that the blue Kyanite really helps to take all this energy that is naturally exploding in your crown area, and it helps to bring it through your body and balance you. Because in the beginning of the awakening, I mean, the truth is that all of our upper chakras, they freaking explode. They do. And it's a profound, beautiful gift because we're able to start seeing things that we didn't see before. And that's amazing, you know? I don't have to explain to you guys why. You're feeling it. You've been going through it too, right? Man, the whole process is just incredible. But the blue Kyanite really helps to balance that. It really helps to bring it through. And it helps you to find yourself more in your current position with this energy inside of you. So rather than having all this extremeness going on up here, which causes us to feel a jarring effect in our environment, like we're not quite fitting in with it anymore, it helps to balance us. Now, something that I want to mention here is that when we start feeling this lack of resonance with our, you know, our current arena, when we start feeling this, that we're no longer fitting in here, I think it's natural to want to start reaching for things that make us feel safe and okay. You know, for example, you know, using drugs or even reaching for, you know, crystals or things like this. We might want to alter how we feel so that we can continue living in this life that we've been living in, right? We kind of want to just stay in there, even though our being is waking up and saying, you know, I'm not who I thought I was. A lot of times this is when our ego kind of starts trying to arm wrestle us. It wants us to do anything that we can to, yes, stay awake and in this bliss stage, but to also be able to keep going on this path that you've been on. Because it's scary, you know? It's scary to let go of the relationships in your life. It's scary to move forward and feel that they're no longer resonating, you know? It's scary to feel that maybe it's time to move to a different part of the world. It's scary to feel that maybe the career that you've built your entire life into and that you've worked so hard for, all of a sudden isn't you. You know, these are very traumatic experiences, and a lot of us, again, we don't see anybody in our immediate life who's been going through these things. We don't. And so, again, we feel alone, and we feel like we're trapped. You know, it's like, well, shit. I just woke up, and I'm stuck here. Now I can see that my entire life is fake, but it was easier when I thought it was real, you know? So I know you guys can relate to this energy. You know, I'm not the only one that's felt this, I'm absolutely sure. So I just wanted to mention that to you, that oftentimes we want to reach for things to help ourselves feel more comfortable with who we were and just stay in it. But at this point, I don't want to really give you an answer to this. I just want to offer a question. You know, what if You know, what if we're supposed to feel uncomfortable? What if we're actually supposed to let it go and move forward? What if there's this whole other beautiful life on the other side of this wall that you can't necessarily perceive or understand at this current moment, but that all these things are coming up and you're feeling a resistance and no longer a resonance with because there's something else coming to you, for you, you know? So again, I know it's scary. I know it's hard to let these things go sometimes, but I just wanted to mention that to you guys, that it's really powerful to sometimes just allow ourselves to feel that we no longer resonate with our area, rather than trying to force ourselves to pretend like it's all okay, right? Now, the next energy that I wanted to mention here is Tiger's Eye. So Tiger's Eye is a really awesome, grounding, focused energy, and it's really powerful with our solar plexus. So what I end up finding is, this is exactly why I just said the whole thing I did. In this stage, this is when we start to feel like maybe there's something more out there for us, but we're still not quite in our power yet because we're so new to this whole awakening process and the magic waking up within us, that we're still not quite familiar with our own power of manifestation and moving forward in our life. We're still not quite there yet. So I find that Tiger's Eye is a really awesome energy for this, for manifestation. And also the reason I mention this over other manifestation crystals is because it has this driven focus to it. Now, I want to let you guys know that pretty much all the crystals I'm mentioning in this video, I actually have a whole bunch of playlists and videos tagged below about each individual one so that you can go through there and you can even dive deeper into any of the ones that might resonate with you or click with you in this video. So I like Tiger's Eye a lot because that whole energy of feeling like your environment no longer resonates with you, you know, your lifestyle, the people, all of a sudden you feel this change coming, but there's this inherent fear. There's this inherent, well, how am I going to make that happen, right? So the Tiger's Eye is really awesome because it drives us deep into this powerful, almost like primal instinct within ourselves of feeling this power, feeling that we are the one in the position of the power here, and that we can break free, that we can make a difference, you know, that we can allow our lives to change itself. And it really helps us to tap into the solar plexus area, which is where these manifestations even begin to be taking place. So those are the two number ones that I want to mention in the second stage of the awakening process. So I'm curious again to hear from you guys in this part of the video. What do you feel might be the best energy to be working with when you're at this stage? And do you resonate with my expression of what it's been like for me in the second stage? Again, these are highly personal experiences. It's very different for all of us, and yet the energy seems to be the same, right? It's like all the energetic waves that are breaking through, we're all going through that together. But in our own individual humans and our own individual lives, these things kind of like tend to manifest a little bit differently. So this is just what I feel. And I think it might resonate with you too if you're finding yourself here with me. So moving on to stage 3. Welcome back to another awkward video interruption. This one is for the giveaway, and this one is for my own personal Tiger's Eye bracelet. So I hope that that's cool for you to know that I worked with this one a lot. Now for this giveaway, again, it's the same as the first one. You know, either like or dislike the video. You got to make sure to do these things so the algorithm recognizes you. Number 2 is to subscribe and have the bell notification clicked. And number 3 is to comment below stage 2 spiritual awakening, and then let me know what was the first thing that you really felt in your awakening that you pushed against, you know, the first thing that you kind of realized, like, I've been living this in my life, but it's not actually been me. You know what I mean? Like the first time where you all of a sudden realize, like, whoa, this has been a mask of mine. I'm really interested to know from you guys and get to know you better. So thanks for participating in this one, and I'll see you for the next of the spiritual awakening process. This is the stage that I like to call everything is falling apart, I'm dying. This is the one that I'm going to spend probably the most amount of time on in this video. This is what a lot of other people call the dark night of the soul. This is when all of the shadow work starts coming in. So this is a very terrifying stage. And this one is across the board. I see it in absolutely everybody. You know, again, these are highly personal things. I'm making it very generalized for the purpose of this video. But what I find is that this one is very common amongst everybody. And I'm not trying to freak anybody out who hasn't had this experience yet. But if you haven't, I would be excited and grateful knowing that this opportunity is still on its way to you, And again, these stages aren't actually always linear. This is just a reflection of my experience and the experience that I've shared with thousands of people here that have also related. So, the truth is that, the whole first 2 stages are us feeling so incredibly powerful, so much magic, so much bliss, so much ecstasy with everything, right? And then we all of a sudden, like I said, we start to feel this resistance with our environment. So many of us start making changes. We break free, we break out of it. For me, I ended up quitting my job, leaving my roommate situation, and I was fully dedicating myself to my YouTube videos because that's what was really resonating with me to build my new life as. And I hit the road in my car. I literally converted a Ford Fiesta to live out of, and I hit the road. Found myself in Sedona, went to Mount Shasta, right? These high energy vortex places, went to Costa Rica. So this is what happens, this is the first 2 stages. If you watch any of my videos through this whole entire period, you'll notice that I'm just exploding with energy, so much excitement, so much electricity. And that's why so many people found themselves wanting to watch my videos, is because there's so much energy in there that's so uplifting. But then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, for no particular reason at all, other than the fact that it's just what your soul or the universe, who you really are, is giving to you at that time, consider divine timing here. Who are we in our ego to try to understand it, right? It's our true being that wants this for us. It's just random. All of a sudden, for me, everything was good. I'd manifested a whole bunch of success here on my YouTube channel. I manifested a van, so I stopped living in a car. I was doing the whole van life thing. I had all these beautiful things happening. I had attracted my life partner into my life, right? All of a sudden I had this amazing career. I was having all this financial success. And then out of freaking nowhere, it all came crumbling down and falling apart. And this is this stage, guys. This is the everything's falling apart, I'm dying stage. It's intense. All of a sudden, all that magic that was coming into us, it seems as though it's turned off. And it's weird, It's weird. It's like, where did it go? All of a sudden, the magic turns off. All of a sudden, we start feeling this darkness, this emptiness, right? We start feeling like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is a hard place to be. I'm done. Nothing matters, like in a bad kind of connotation way, right? Like, what's the point of any of this? We start feeling this kind of sickness within us. I legit, on my Patreon, I have another thing, it's Patreon. You guys can check in the description to see more about that, but it's a whole other video service and community that we've got going here. On Patreon, I was doing a live stream, and I literally told my friends on Patreon, I think I am dying. And I was actually convinced that I was. I recently found out this is extremely common in this stage, is people feel like they are actually dying physically too, that there's something wrong with them, that they need to go to the doctor and get checked out, right? Is experiencing seriously horrible depression, tons of anxiety, right? And what ended up happening is all these different layers within myself of problems that I had in my past, like before my whole awakening began, started to come back, but tenfold, way worse than they ever were before. Right? So for a lot of you who've been following my channel, you know that I am a recovering drug addict, right? Now I've got some videos about this too. I'll tag some below if you're curious about the spiritual meaning and the energetic reason for addiction and how we can actually heal and break out of that. I'll tag that for you below. It's not just relevant to drug addiction, but all addictions. Feeling like you need something to function, or trying to drive your attention elsewhere. Anyways, that's below. But what ended up happening for me is all of a sudden this drug addiction came back. Whereas in the first stage, most specifically, I completely had let go and wasn't using them anymore, and I felt so blissed out and amazing. All of a sudden, the universe ripped away this bliss. All of a sudden, I didn't feel divinely connected to God anymore. All of a sudden, my crystals, I stopped feeling their energy. They completely turned off. It was like all this magic had been taken away from me for no reason. I didn't do anything to deserve that, And it was terrifying. And then all these problems within me started surfacing that I thought that I had healed, that I had let go. My drug addiction came back tenfold. I started abusing again, but like way more hardcore than I ever was before. I started noticing all these narcissistic relationships popping up in my life. People who wanted to just feed on my energy and abuse me, project their bullshit at me. All this stuff was happening. And it's terrifying. You know, really what I felt is that I wanted to just go out into the nature. I wanted to quit videos. I wanted to delete my whole channel. Glad I didn't do that. I wanted to just let everything fall apart and sit out there in the nature and let my actual physical body here die. I was done, you know? So this is a really intense stage, guys. And this is a really natural part of it. Now, at the time, I did not understand what was happening, and it was really intense and scary. I thought that I was having a psychotic break. I thought I needed help, right? You know, I didn't understand what was happening. It's pretty clear to me at this point that what's happening is it's a huge purge, okay? So when we first wake up, our being pours all of this magic into us to show us this potential. You know, look what you're coming to, dude. Look what's here for you. You know, look how amazing this is, right? It's like kind of turning you on. It's giving you a tease. It's showing you what's at the end of the gate, right? And then it takes it away and brings up all the bullshit within you that's been holding you back from experiencing that for your whole life, not to mention all of your past life bullshit too. So this is the stage where all of our past life karma, all of our present life karma starts coming up intensely. And what this is it's an opportunity for us to purge it and let it go for good. That's what it is. Now, this is the number one thing that I want to mention here. When we are in, for example, this stage of the spiritual awakening, what we often want to do, for example, if you are somebody who loves crystals, then you'll relate. What we often want to do is reach for Moldavite, Pneumite, Herkimer diamond, right? All of these super high vibrational crown chakra connecting you to the universe energies. This is what we want to do. We want to go back. We hate the way that it is now. We want to go back to the first stage. We want to feel connected again, right? But here's the thing. I highly recommend that you guys do not do that. I highly recommend that you don't reach for things to help you tune back in to the universe and source and things. I understand that that's what in our ego makes the most sense, is it's time for me to work with crystals to help me tap back in. But think about this. Your being is trying to do this for you on purpose, is trying to bring up all of this stuff for you to give it your attention and purge it. So if you are reaching for things to try to tap back into source creation and all this, trying to tap back into this oneness, trying to feel the magic again, what you're doing with your ego is pushing against your true being and fighting them, right? Now, one of my favorite YouTubers, Christina Lopes, she made a video where she talked about this exact thing that I'm sharing, and I resonate so powerfully with it, and I could paraphrase it, but I'd rather just tell you exactly what she said, because it ain't broke, I don't need to fix it. If your being is trying to take your ego on a walk, and your ego is kicking and screaming and trying to go back the other way, guess what? That walk is going to take a whole hell of a lot longer to get to the end of the walk. If you just calm down and you say, okay, I'll walk with you, and you stick with your being through what your being is presenting to you, guess what? That walk around the block is going to be a whole hell of a lot shorter. You see what I'm saying? So I think the most powerful thing, honestly, that I've learned for any of these stages, guys, is to surrender to the energy that is there. What we may think is, because this is what everybody is like telling us in the spiritual community, be balanced, stay balanced, make sure to balance yourself. Sorry, not trying to sass anybody. I completely disagree. I think extremist energy, fully surrendering to what is happening right now, not trying to balance it, not trying to change it, but just fully diving into it with all of your extremeness, this is what expedites the process. This is where massive transformation takes place. If you're always trying to balance everything and walk the middle path, you are just taking hell of a lot longer. I mean, that's your choice, you know? Not trying to diss anybody, but I completely disagree with that, okay? So surrender to each stage's energy. So the energy of the dark night of the soul is really driving us inwards, right? It's really driving us inwards to all of our bullshit. So I recommend not reaching for things to help balance that out and feel better about it, but reaching for the energies that are just like that. the ones that are curling you inwards, the ones that are shadow work energies, the ones that are bringing the bullshit up. That's what I personally feel are the best to work with. Dive into it. Let it be intense. Feel like you're dying. Go for it. So, here are the crystals that I recommend for this phase of the spiritual awakening. Number one is Labradorite. Now, I like Labradorite a lot because it has a lot of the same principles that Moldavite has in terms of shedding these layers, in terms of like looking inwards and being who we really are. Honestly, Labradorite is a lot like Moldavite, but it's more of a terrestrial energy. The reason I'm picking Labradorite over Moldavite for this one, however, is because again, Moldavite's very high vibration, very tapping us into the higher ones. Labradorite is very earth, it's very here, it's very dealing with what is here, not tapping us into these visions of things that aren't actually here right now, but the things that actually are here. So I highly recommend Labradorite, not to mention it has some incredible energies for transmuting negativity and defending against like psychic attack, you know, people's negative projections and things. But what I like about Labradorite is that what it's doing is it's actually helping us to integrate this energy, okay? It's not a shield, it's not preventing us from experiencing those things, it's helping you to pull it into you and integrate it even faster and more powerfully. And that's exactly like what I'm saying we should be doing. We should be diving into this experience, not pushing it away. All right. Whew. The next one I want to bring up is Shungite, okay? Now, Shungite for me, the funny thing is it was always the number one energy that I hated and did not want near me. And all of a sudden where I'm at now, it makes sense why I didn't want to work with it. It's because it's all about ancestral healing. It's really tapping us into our past karmas and things like this. So I'd be feeling amazing, all high and trippy and loosey-goosey on Moldavite and Phenicite. I'd put on a Shungite bracelet and all of a sudden I'd feel sick. I'd feel like shit, I'd feel dark, you know, I'd feel this heaviness, this weight, and I'd go, okay, Shungite's bad. Shungite's a bad energy. Don't touch Shungite. So again, we want to surrender to these phases. We want to allow ourselves to become one with this energy and take the walk with our being, not fight and push against them and force them to have to drag us along, because, you know, that's just not really constructive or effective for either of our energies. So Shungite is really diving deep into these kind of ancestral traumas and all these things that we're carrying. Now, not only are we carrying past life karma that is this kind of energetic part, but the biggest thing that I've noticed is that in the cells of our body, we are literally information. Every single cell is information and memory passed on from our parents, passed on from theirs, and it just keeps going. So whether you guys knew this or not, it's very interesting, but I've been learning and feeling into the fact that I'm carrying all kinds of bullshit and trauma from my family members that they've passed to me on a cellular level. I'm not talking things that they've taught me and now I'm trying to break free from what they taught me to be. I'm talking about actual cellular information that's passed on. So this is a lot of the stuff that's going to be coming up in this phase because your true being is trying to help you to purge and let these things go so you can really be free and you can really be who you are here right now on planet Earth, right? It's this ecstatic experience, but it weighs a lot and it's a hard, challenging part of the journey, guys. I know it is. I was having a whole freaking hard time with that, that's for sure. But again, if you surrender to it and you let it happen, you'll break through it much quicker. For example, I see most people fight it and it takes them, you know, years or like a whole bunch of months to go through this. The time frame's different for everybody and there's nothing wrong with you if it takes longer for you. What I will say is that I think it's pretty clear to all of my friends here, and that it should be clear to you if you've been watching my videos, that I'm very good at surrendering and allowing myself to be honest with myself about what I am going through. So the fact that for the whole last month, I was having this horrible time, I wasn't fighting it. I wasn't trying to change it. I surrendered to it. I allowed myself to feel all the bullshit that was there. I allowed myself an opportunity to work through and integrate it. And so I was able to break out of it on a much quicker scale than how most people do. Now, if you're gonna keep trying to take substances or work with things or trying to change the way that you feel, that's you fighting it. You gotta surrender. You gotta just let it happen. You just gotta be with it, you know? Be with the uncomfortable experience. If you feel like dying, feel like you're dying. That's not something you need to change, you know? It's just surrender to it, you know? That's all I gotta say about that. Okay, the next one that I want to mention for this phase is Pneumite. Pneumite is a really awesome energy, again, similar to Shungite, reaching deep, deep, deep within ourselves. Now, Pneumite is actually known as one of the most ancient and oldest stones, if not the actual most ancient and oldest stones. And this one's really cool because it also helps us to tap into our inner magic. So I like this one because it reminds me a lot of Shungite, the same exact thing that I just said, but it has these magical properties to it that can help to remember the magic within you. Now, this is less of pushing against and fighting the experience, but a lot more of surrendering to it, but remembering and having the awareness that it's not going to last forever and that you are a profound magical being and you're going to be okay. So I really recommend that one. And the next one that I recommend for this stage, this is my absolute favorite one for this, is Lapis Lazuli, okay? This is like the biggest energy that has been helping me through that. And even in the new stage that I'm in, which is the next one I'm gonna get in with you guys. So what's really cool about Lapis Lazuli is that this is the energy of speak the truth. It's like there's this weird energy about Lapis where you can't bullshit yourself when you're working with it. You can't lie to yourself, right? You can't fool yourself and try to convince yourself that everything's good when it's not, you know? And it's like you can't, there's this thing we do with our egos where we just lie to ourselves constantly, you know? It's a pretty natural human inclination. We want to convince ourselves that everything is this way when it's actually like this, because it's just something that we do, you know? It's a learned behavior that's been taught to us and passed down on a cellular level, and on an actual societal, this is what they're teaching us level. Lapis Lazuli, to me, is the most powerful energy that hit me the hardest out of any that I ever worked with. And I can see very clearly now that the reason it smacked me so hard and the reason I felt it so much is because for most of my life, I'd been walking around living as somebody constantly lying to themselves, acting, wearing masks, hiding from who I truly am and what I really feel in my heart, trying to be somebody I'm not. Lapis Lazuli, to me, it's almost like this force field of, you can't lie. You can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to anybody else. You've got to be you right now in this intense way. So Lapis Lazuli, to me, I just strongly recommend it for anybody going through this phase. It's honestly going to make the phase a lot harder and a lot more intense. You'll probably feel a lot more pain and trauma. You might feel a lot more of those emotions coming up. That's why I like it, because that's us being honest with ourselves and allowing what we're feeling to come up and experiencing, rather than trying to build on top of it or color it in a different light, rather than trying to transmute it or tell ourselves, you know, shift our perspective. I'm not having a hard time. I'm just doing this. No, Lapis Lazuli will say, no, I feel like absolute shit. I'm gonna sit here and feel like shit today. You know, that's the energy. And again, we want to walk with our being, not push against them, right? Hey guys, got another giveaway for you here. So this giveaway is for this amazing Shungite ball. This is super badass, guys. This one was actually gifted to me, and I feel good about being able to return the gift and move it on to the next person for it to resonate with. So there are 3 things to do for this giveaway as well. You guys already know the first 2. Number 1 is to be a subscriber with the bell notification clicked. Interact with that thumbs up or thumbs down system so that the algorithm recognizes you. And the third thing is to comment below and tell me tell me the spiritual awakening stage. So say stage 3 spiritual awakening, and then let me know, what is it that gives you strength? What is it when you're going through a hard time in your life reminds you of your power and to keep pushing forwards and to not give up? I would really love to know from you guys what gives you strength. So thanks for participating in this giveaway, and I'll see you for the next. So here's the next phase, and this is the one that I believe myself to be in right now. I could be absolutely wrong. You know, the truth is that it's not a linear thing. It's not. Sometimes we phase in and out of these different ones, and then sometimes we revisit a phase for a while. And it's just this whole dance going on between our ego and our being is what I truly see. And again, I find that if we just surrender and we allow what's happening to be happening, and we don't push against it, I think that it is a much more linear experience in that way, you know? But relative to me, this is what makes sense, and this is where I'm at right now. I call this stage the I am at peace, I am here, and I am grounded phase. So what's really special about this one is that we've just broken out of this whole massive shitstorm of darkness and hating on ourselves, feeling like we don't want to be here, feeling like everything sucks, right? The dark night is, oh man, I mean, that's across the board. It's the most painful and challenging one. I don't think anybody would choose any of the other stages and say that it's more challenging. It's that one, you know? It's the everything's falling apart, I'm dying to me phase. So naturally, once we break out of that stage, there's this sense of peace within us. There's this sense of you've just broken free of your karmic chains, and now you finally get to begin your life. It's a rebirth. It's like you're new. It feels like, for how I feel right now, I feel this intense sense of peace, ultimate peace that nobody can take from me. You know, nobody can say anything, nobody could do anything, no event could take place in life that could trigger me and steal this peace from me. And it's a hard energy to explain. I think that a lot of you guys, you've probably felt this. You've probably felt this. And I would love if you could share with me about it, because this is the one that I just broke into, and so it's very new to me. But I feel so peaceful. I feel so raw and genuine with myself. I've been having so many profound dreams that have been taking place. A few nights ago, I had a dream that I was at my parents' house. Everybody in my family was falling apart, right? There's like their life was ending, was the vibe. And my mother's screaming at me, "Nathan, we need you. We need you. We need you." And there was so much power to the way that she was saying you. The way she was saying you, it almost carried this weight to it, like we need the real you, you know? It's you that we need, Nathan, you. And in the dream, I began to feel so hot and this like nausea, and tears started pouring out of my face, and I curled down into the fetal like this. And all of a sudden, these huge fucking massive white angelic wings ripped out of my back, and I began to soar above the sky, above everybody. And all of this light started pouring out of me and just hitting everybody and healing them, and it was healing me, and that was profound. And I woke up early in the morning straight out of that dream, feeling as though I have really just broken free of some chains that I don't even think I fully understand what I broke free of yet. I feel that I've broken free of something even on higher dimensional levels of myself. I feel that I have just honestly achieved the healing that I came here for. And now that I've gone through my healing, now it's time for me to fulfill and fall into my life purpose of what I'm going to do here. But that's a whole other conversation I'm going to step into in a moment here. So, here's some things that I wrote down that I really wanted to mention to you. Part of the way that this stage feels is like nothing matters, right? Similar to that of the, everything's falling apart stage, but this way is a much more positive energy. Nothing matters in a good way, right? Nothing can break me. Nothing can take me. I'm good either way. Nothing matters. It's so good. It's so pure. And it feels super, super powerful. Now, the other thing that it feels like is like I can rest now. I feel like my whole being inside of me, I feel like I'm resting. I feel like I'm healing still, but in a different kind of way. I feel like my being has given me permission to relax and just chill out, I don't need to force anything. I don't need to work super hard. Like, I just went through a whole bunch of crazy shit, so now I get to just be, nothing matters. It's okay. I can rest now, There's an epic presence that comes with this. The way that I feel is incredibly masculine, which perhaps this might not be the same for everybody, to be honest. I had very wounded masculine energy in my life. I was always carrying mostly feminine. So all of a sudden I feel incredibly masculine. I feel very primal, very sexy, very attractive, very magnetic, I feel very here in my body, It's amazing. There's so much presence, and sorry about that. My camera battery died and I just put in a new one. But it's just very here, It's very primal, very powerful, very peaceful, very resting, and it just feels awesome, To me, This is the grounding phase. This is the I am here. You know, I've done it. You know, I went through the shit, and now I get to experience the payoff of this ultimate peace and serenity within me. Now, I want to also mention that for those of us who do like crystals, this is a phase of this spiritual awakening where you may actually feel yourself taking your crystals off. Right now, it's not because there's anything wrong with crystals, but there's this incredible peace in your true nature of who you really are, without clothes, without layers of different stones creating energy on you, right? It's this ultimate peace of like, I am good, you know? I'm good. Now, after you take them off, might actually find yourself putting them back on again in certain ways for fun, because you are here, because you are a human. So let's play, you know, let's work with what's here. Let's have a good time. So that's something else that I wanted to mention in this stage. Now, it's also a great example is that it's not just crystals, you know, all these different things that we may have been feeling we needed all throughout our life, right? Substances, you know, attachments and relationships, you know, television shows that give us comfort, you know, binge eating food, all of these things, all of a sudden, you feel this peace with who you are. You don't need it. You're good. You know, it's like, damn, I never could have imagined what this part felt like. But I'm so glad that I surrendered in the whole difficulty stage, because it's worth it. It really is worth it. You know, I find that in the previous stage, we want to push against a lot and we get angry at God and the universe. Why would you do this to me? I'm serious, guys. It's not happening to you, it's for you. I know it doesn't feel like that when you're going through it, but on the other side, like, wow. Wow. Now, I've also heard in other people's videos that the whole dark night of the soul phase, the whole falling apart, dying phase, comes back in sometimes multiple times throughout your life. It might resurface again when your being wants to give you another opportunity to shed some more stuff from perhaps past lives and things that haven't even made themselves known yet. So just keep in mind that, you know, it's not all, you know, linear. It's cyclical. And it's more so something that your true being has already kind of set up for you, and it is what you want for yourself. So, the crystals that I wanted to recommend for this phase, again, you may just feel like you don't really have much of an interest in them, but for this part of this grounding energy, again, what we want to do is not push against the energy that we're feeling. You know, I don't want to start busting out a whole bunch of solar plexus energy right now to try to get myself to start manifesting all this crazy stuff again, because that's not conducive to the stage I'm in. I'm resting. I'm at peace. Right? I'm here. So the energy that I really want to recommend to you guys for this is hematite, right? So I've got a hematite ring on, and I've actually got a hematite bracelet on. So hematite is the number one that I want to recommend for this. It's grounding, it's here, right? Again, we want to lend ourselves to the energy that's conducive. The other one that I really, really, really like a lot is Rudraksha. Now, I don't know enough about Rudraksha to start listing to you guys all these different things about it. The truth is that the people who do know are very serious about saying you need to know how many faces are on the seeds, otherwise you could mess yourself up. Yeah, I don't know about that personally. I'm working with, I think it's a 5 or 6 face, and to me, it's just very grounded. It's very here, you know? The Rudraksha seems to have this powerful energy about it, where it's like creating me in my own space, you know? Nothing can come at me that isn't me, because I am me. You know, I am Nathan. I am here. And it's beautiful. You know, another really good one for this is brown tourmaline. So those are the 3 that I will recommend for this phase specifically. Now, moving on to the 5th phase, I want to let you guys know that I don't actually believe that I'm in the 5th phase yet. It's pretty clear to me that I'm in the 4th phase. But I knew before making this video, because I really wanted to make this video for you all, I knew before making this that I don't know what comes next because I'm not there yet. I'm still going through it too. So what I did is I watched my favorite YouTuber who I resonate with the most. Her name is Christina Lopes. I recommend you check her out. Honestly, just gonna tell you right now, the reason why I like her over everybody else that's making the same exact content is because she is in a very clear energy of genuinely wanting to just share her information and knowledge with you to help you. You know, she's not trying to become some megastar. She's not trying to make a shit ton of money. She just genuinely is here and is being herself. And I really appreciate that about her. So that's the vibe. That's why I resonate with her. Now, I watched one of her most popular videos, one of her biggest videos, and what she has done is she actually broke up the spiritual awakening into 6 phases. So all of the previous parts of this video, that was me. That's what I've come up with from my own resonance. This next phase that I'm going to share is legit, you know, what Christina says, and I trust her, and I resonate with her. If you resonate with me, it's likely that this will be this way for you too. And what she says is that the phase that comes after this kind of, it's cool because she actually talked about the peace phase too after the dark night. So I was like, oh, cool. Then I do kind of know what I'm talking about. Not really, but you know. She says what comes after is the phase of life purpose. All of a sudden, your rest, this resting, this groundedness, this power that we start feeling and we allow ourselves to kind of resonate in, all of a sudden we start blossoming fruit. These inspirations come through us from our true being, from God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, you know? And it's essentially what you're here for. You know, your life purpose, your life mission. Who are you? What are you really meant to do? You know, all of a sudden it begins to become more clear and we start stepping out of this just relaxing and basking in the energy of peace. And we start moving forwards in oftentimes creating for others, right? So, you know, I think that this part of the stage, this is coming to us, again, it's not all linear, coming through us in little bits and pieces throughout all of these phases, you know? The truth is that I don't understand what my true life purpose is. But what I do know is that surrendering myself to being my true authentic self, I keep making YouTube videos. Now, that doesn't mean that my whole life purpose is to make YouTube videos, but I do feel that making YouTube videos is conducive to what my true life purpose is. I just don't know what it is yet. But I'm okay with that too, because I'm just 24, you know, and I'm just getting started. So I would love to hear from anybody who has made it to this phase. If you could share with me and share with others, what do you feel about this, you know? Does that resonate with you, that the next phase is the life purpose stage where we start building things for others, right? I want to know from you guys, what does that feel like? Does it come to you in visions? Does it come to you in inspiration? You just wake up in the morning and all of a sudden know what you're going to create that day? Is it a feeling of certainty? What is it? I'd love to hear from you guys, like truly, I'm asking you. So, thank you everybody so much for watching this Vibes and Frequencies video. Once again, my name is Nathan. I make videos basically every other day. I've got a live stream on Sunday. If you watch this video all the way through, if you like this video, make sure to go below, click that thumbs up button. Let me know what you think about this below. And I can't wait to see you guys for the next video. See you soon.